Breaking tonight, we have new numbers from the first major poll since the presidential debate, and they give us significant new insight into how the showdown at Hofstra is affecting this race. Welcome to the Kelly File, everyone. I'm Megyn Kelly. This new Fox poll was taken entirely after Monday night's debate between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And we'll get to it in just a moment with these two guys. Chris Direwalt and Howie Kurtz with us live tonight. Plus, with just 39 days to go before the election, Charles Krauthammer offers his advice to the candidates. But we begin on the campaign trail tonight. Over the past 24 hours, we have witnessed a remarkable series of attacks from the two candidates.
Some people didn't give us a good chance. The other day, one of the biggest people in that business, the very dishonest press business, they said, Mr. Trump, when you started off, you have to tell me the truth. Did you really think you'd be here? We're going to win the White House, and it's going to be an awfully good November 8th. That evening is going to be a celebration. We're going to take on the special interests, the lobbyists, and the powerful politicians that have stolen your jobs through theft and incompetence. They've stolen your wealth. They've taken your middle class. When it comes to Hillary Clinton, all you have to do is remember these words. Follow the money. On November 8th, we are going to end Clinton corruption. We've had enough. If the doctor says, I'm sorry, Jim, I'm sorry, Alice, I'm sorry, whoever it is, you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it. You'll be gone by the end of November. I don't give a damn. Show up and vote on November 8th.
Chief political correspondent campaign Carl Cameron is live in Romulus, Michigan. Carl?
Well, his campaign's been telling him he's got to leave the debate behind him. He's got to be more disciplined and stick to the prompter and not ad-lib. And he didn't do much ad-libbing tonight. He was really getting right at that off of the text. A very aggressive speech for Donald Trump. He started this day quite early. At 3 o'clock in the morning, he was up tweeting, continuing the battle over Miss Universe. And during the rally tonight, he really amped up his attacks on Hillary Clinton. It was almost entirely about her. And at one point, he did sort of take a bit of a detour, and he started talking about President Obama. And he said that, well, he challenged President Obama, threw down a gauntlet. Watch this.
Can you promise that not one of the 5 people who were granted criminal immunity will ever be allowed to serve in a Clinton administration? Mr. President, will you pledge not to issue a pardon to Hillary Clinton and her co-conspirators for their many crimes against our country and against society itself?
And, of course, there are no charges against Hillary Clinton or the 5 staffers who got the immunity deal. So that's not happening. And it's interesting to note that as part of his visit to Michigan here, where he trails in the polls by 7 points to Hillary Clinton, today he stopped at the Gerald Ford Presidential Library and Museum, toured the place. And, of course, Gerald Ford himself once pardoned Richard Nixon. 2 hours after that visit, Trump was saying Obama should certainly not pardon Hillary Clinton. Megyn?
Carl, thank you. Tonight, we are getting our very first look at nationwide polls taken entirely after the first presidential debate. They show that Hillary Clinton has gained some ground on Donald Trump. In a two-way matchup, she's now at 49% to his 44%. Earlier this month, he was ahead of her. What's more, the polls show this fight is really a battle of the sexes, with Mrs. Clinton enjoying a 23-point advantage over Mr. Trump with women voters. He's doing 17 points better when it comes to the men. And when it comes to what's motivating voters this year, 57% say fear. Fear that the other candidate might win is behind their choice. Just 39% say it's enthusiasm for their candidate. Chris Direwalt is our Fox News digital politics editor. Howie Kurtz is host of Media Buzz on Fox News. Okay, so the random sampling polls, you know, the sort of official polls say that Hillary Clinton won that debate. So good for her, right? She did what she needed to do. However, Mitt Romney killed President Obama in the first debate back in 2012, Direwalt. And so you tell me whether he got this similar kind of polling bounce thereafter and just how hopeful Hillary Clinton should be feeling tonight.
Well, there's a little bit more spring in her step in the head-to-head matchup than there was for Romney, but you are exactly right that not only did Mitt Romney get boffo debate reviews back in 2012 and end up limping home, but also famous names like Walter Mondale, John Kerry, and others won the first debate. So the first debates aren't necessarily predictive, but of course in politics you'd always rather win than lose.
Right. She doesn't want to get too cocky. And the thing is, Howie, of course, Trump, as we've seen from the beginning, his biggest impediment toward maintaining any momentum he gets going is himself and his thumbs at like 3 in the morning and 5 in the morning as he continues to fight these just petty battles that he doesn't need to be fighting.
I've been thinking about it all day, not since 3 a.m., but for many hours, and I can't understand what Trump thinks he's getting out of 3 a.m. tweet attacks on a former Miss Universe that nobody had ever heard of. When you look at this poll, look, none of us are shocked that Hillary got a small bump since she did better in that debate by most people's estimation, but there's one number there that really jumped out at me. 67% in this Fox News survey say she has the temperament to be president. 37% say Donald Trump has the temperament to be president. That's something that Trump has to find a way to change, but you're right. The pundits are all saying, oh, this was such a complete and utter disaster, this debate for Donald Trump. The race is still tight. Much of the country disagrees.
He, on the fight with the Miss Universe, Chris, he could have come out and said, look, I was running the Miss Universe pageant. I wasn't running for president, right? I was a colorful character. You know this about me. I kind of still am. I don't speak the Queen's English. I haven't always said the perfect stuff. But in the midst of saying all this bad stuff about her, I said some other stuff that was kind of nice. She could have been fired. I talked about how I, too, like to eat. Like, if you're going to get hung up on one person, maybe it shouldn't be this person. But he can't let it go.
5 days. 5 days. This campaign has wasted on this issue because it is one that the press is going to go for. It's got sex, it's got obesity, it's got Donald Trump. It's a whole segment of The View all in just one whole story. And so here you have all of this catnip that the press is not going to be able to resist. And Trump, even this morning, he's like, oh, it's almost over. One more day. I'm going to do it one more time. Remember the rule. You can be right or you can be happy, but usually not both.
Yes, because when Hollywood is trying to titillate us into going to see a movie, that's what they say. It's got obesity.
And fatness. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be there. Howie, just another word on these polls. So she did get a big bump as a result of that, that debate. And the two-way race between them now, according to the four-way race, is 43 Clinton, 40 Trump. But that's within the margin of error. And early September, she had 1 point over him, 41-40. So why the freak out in all these corners? Like, she's got it, she's winning now, and he's losing.
Are we done talking about the sex tape? That's not a sex tape? Okay, I'll move on.
Yeah, I don't know. So today he said that she was in a sex tape, and apparently she wasn't in a sex tape, but she was on on some reality show where she made you believe she was doing something in the bedroom. Then it came out that Trump made some cameo in a soft porn show. Yeah, I don't know. I guess he broke a bottle of champagne over something. He didn't do anything. But this is our presidential race.
Okay. But you asked about the freak out, and here it is. Trump had a very good September. He stuck to the script. He gained ground. Hillary Clinton was losing. Then comes the debate. People can debate about why he didn't do as well, the opportunities he let go, and all of that. And so now the media is saying, well, it's over because we're bipolar. She's winning, she's losing. No, now she's going to win. This race is not over.
It's true. And with all due respect, the most bipolar of all has been Nate Silver, who was such a rock star in 2012. And then these four that we got here, I was like, oh, Nate Silver says this. Oh, no, he says exactly the opposite. Oh, he's back to this. Oh, he's exactly the opposite. My head hurts, Nate. My head hurts. I got to go.
Bye.
He's super smart, but he made some mistakes. Great to see you both. Well, as you just heard, voters believe Hillary Clinton won the first debate, but the folks we polled are not showing a lot of enthusiasm for either candidate. So what should Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump do next? Charles Krauthammer is a Fox News contributor and syndicated columnist. Charles, good to see you. So if you had to advise Team Trump, if they came to you and said, Charles, it's go time, what's the number one thing he needs to do with 5.5 weeks left? What would you say?
When you see a trail of cheese, Don't follow it, because there's a trap at the other end.
Right.
And for him, that means just self-control and discipline. Look, the reason his numbers have gone up over the last month is very simple. They shackled him. They put the bracelets on, handcuffs, everything. They made him read from the prompter, and he got his issues out, and he didn't get into too much trouble. The minute you're in a debate, you're loosed, you're not controlled, and for him, he just went to where he goes, and that is to protect his self-image. And the basis of his self-image, he made two huge mistakes. Number one was taking the bait on the Miss Universe, which raised all the issues of which you are unfortunately familiar. And the other issue was he took the bait on taxes and actually admitted essentially to 86 million Americans that he doesn't pay them, and he's proud of it. Now, that's not a good idea, and that will dog him, I'm sure. So he needs to simply refuse to follow those issues. It's not about him, of course. That's easy for someone to say on the outside, and to stick to what works. What works for him, particularly in the Midwest, is trade and the economy, and then to go after her, not on the sexual harassment stuff, the husband stuff, the impeachment stuff, but to go after her on her own damn scandals, to quote Bernie Sanders. Her email, her untruths, etc.
So,
That's a pretty
there's a
easy
debate
agenda.
about that, right? Because he's suffering now. I mean, his numbers with women were already low going into that debate, and they fell another 7 points, according to our poll, as a result of that debate. So, some disagree with you there and say, show the American public that she's no angel either when it comes to her treatment of women.
I don't think that's going to work.
Why?
I don't think it works. Well, first of all, it would be a man saying it. Secondly, that's been adjudicated, and at least 20 years ago, you could argue that the zeitgeist of the country has changed, but 20 years ago, it caused the Republicans untold grief. They lost several speakers of the House. They got crushed in by-elections. President Clinton, in the middle of all this, had this highest approval ratings, as did she. Look, if you're desperate, that's the nuclear option, yes. If you're 10 points behind, you got nothing else, then you launch your missiles and you hope it lands.
Is he desperate yet? I mean, he was evening the playing field before this debate and
Yes.
gaining, beating her by at least a couple points in some critical swing states.
But there's a difference between losing your momentum, which was about to take you into the lead, and a collapse. He did not collapse. He's been stalled. I think the way to get out of the stall is to go back to the main reason for his campaign, which is she's status quo, you're new. That's the major appeal, particularly in the Midwest. You go for the economy, you go for trade, which is the real salient issue, much more than immigration, and you stick with what works.
What about her? What do you see? I mean, she's clearly feeling good right now, right? She's got her mojo back, but she has stumbled many times in the course of this campaign. So what should she be watching out for in the next 5 weeks?
Well, do what you did in the first debate. It worked. And that is, she was lucky because he didn't come back on the issues on which she could have been easily hit. But for example, you got to have a better answer on TPP, on the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the trade deal. She obviously had contradicted her old position. There may be no way out, but there should be a way perhaps to reverse the issue, to send the volley back over the net and talk about his flip-flops on other issues. But that was her one weakness. She had a bad half hour at the beginning. She needs to study that and to have better answers. Otherwise, she sticks to what is the essence of her campaign, which is, that line she had where she said, I prepared for this debate. He criticized me for preparing. What else I prepared for is the presidency. That's her calling card. Yes, I'm status quo. Yes, you've seen me. And perhaps, yes, I'm not that trustworthy. However, I'm prepared. I know my stuff. I'm ready. I'm not scary. I can handle the job. That is her calling card. That's what she has to stick with. She can't invent a new idea or a new issue for her campaign. There isn't any.
Hillary Clinton, I am not scary. Charles?
That's what.
That's the state of the race, right, in 2016 America.
How about I've heard of Aleppo?
That would be helpful, too. Great to see you, sir.
Thank you.
As we mentioned a moment ago, just when you thought the political fight over a Venezuelan beauty queen couldn't get any more dramatic, Donald Trump today sent people looking for her sex tape. Yes, he did. So Molly Hemingway and Nomiki Konst are next on where the story went then. 39 days to the election and new fallout tonight in the feud playing out over Twitter between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. She got into. It all started when Clinton mentioned former Miss Universe Alicia Machado at Monday's debate, which you've heard about by now. Now, 4 days later, Mrs. Clinton and Mr. Trump are still locked in a major disagreement, shall we say, over what Machado means for this race, especially after Trump today sent people looking for her alleged sex tape. Trace, because that's what happens in presidential races. I remember when Mitt Romney did that. Oh no, he didn't. Trace Gallagher has a story. Trace.
Megan, as Hillary Clinton pointed out, this is day 5 of Donald Trump going after former Miss Universe Alicia Machado, and apparently Mr. Trump didn't want to let the morning slip away, beginning his flurry of tweets at 3:20 a.m. Eastern Time and continuing for the next 2.5 hours, saying, quote, "Wow, crooked Hillary was duped and used by my worst Miss You. Hillary floated her as an angel without checking her past, which is terrible." Then a few minutes later, Trump clarified his no angel comment, tweeting, quote, "Did crooked Hillary help disgusting, check out sex tape and past, Alicia M. become a U.S. citizen so she could use her in the debate?" Well, as for helping Machado gain citizenship, the Clinton campaign answered no, no, no. As for Machado's sex tape, fact checkers say it does not exist. Former Miss Universe did appear in a risque scene on a reality TV show, but there was no visible sex. Like many scenes in the world of reality TV, it's unclear how much of it was actually real. As for the early morning tirade, Hillary Clinton said this. Watch.
I mean, his latest Twitter meltdown is unhinged, even for him. It proves yet again that he is temperamentally unfit to be president and commander-in-chief.
Alicia Machado also responded, saying Trump is trying to intimidate and humiliate her. Quote, "I will keep standing, sharing my story. I absolutely support Mrs. Clinton on behalf of women, my sisters, aunts, grandmothers, cousins, friends, and female community." Today, Newt Gingrich called the Machado story an ambush by the Clinton campaign that's as false as Benghazi. And Donald Trump said for those mocking him for tweeting at 3 a.m., at least they know he'll be there awake to answer the call. Megan.
Trace, thank you. Joining us now with more, Molly Hemingway. She is the senior editor at The Federalist, which if you're not reading, you should. Also, Nomiki Konst. She's the host of The Filter on SiriusXM and a DNC platform committee member. Great to see you both.
Nice to see
so,
you.
Molly, you don't disagree with Newt Gingrich that this is a hit. I mean, this is basically a planned hit on Trump. Explain.
Well, what's hard about this story is that when Hillary Clinton brought it up, she brought it up with a very selective set of facts. She wanted to make this part of her war on women messaging, and the media have largely accepted this framing. They have run with it, and they have made many stories out of this, thanks also to the help of Donald Trump continuing to keep this story in the news. It turns out that this person that she chose to make a surrogate for the campaign, to make a hero victim for her campaign, does have quite the shady past. Everything from being accused of running a getaway car for a murder, threatening to kill a judge on who handled that case. She is alleged to have had a child with a drug kingpin, and there are all sorts of problems. And also, contrary to what we just heard, there actually is a sex tape if you define sex tape as videotape of someone having sex, which is, I think, a fair definition of sex tape. So she's also been caught on that. That disrupted her marriage.
On reality TV show. It's not, I guess, I don't know. I haven't seen it. The suggestion was, I guess, that it was like a Kim Kardashian situation.
It is, no, but she is filmed having sex with someone who is not the fiancé that she was engaged to. That fiancé publicly made a big deal about breaking up with her after that sex was shown on TV.
Matter?
So
I'm sorry, I gotta stop you here. You're a reporter. You're supposed to report on facts. This is all speculation, and it doesn't matter. This is about Donald Trump losing his mind and degrading women in a tirade. Come on. You can't just go on and character assassinate a woman who's running for president and putting her as the victim, or that she understands how the media works, so she's sending out messages to reinforce the message that Donald Trump treats women poorly, and he's still not winning with women, and he needs to, and that's why.
Go ahead, Molly.
It's actually great to bring up character assassination because in this race we have two candidates for president, and one of them has spent decades involved in character assassination of women who are involved with her husband. That includes everything from hiring a private investigator who is a former colleague of hers to trash Jennifer Flowers when Jennifer Flowers went public about her lengthy affair with Bill Clinton. It also includes taking a list of women who had had sex with Bill Clinton, bringing them into her legal offices, and sitting in on these meetings while lawyers threatened these women so that they would stay silent. This includes releasing information to gaslight women or make their stories seem unfair.
In our next segment too, but Nomiki, go ahead, respond.
Okay, well, there's a big difference between, I mean, the right now and those allies of Donald Trump in friendly media publications, conservative media publications, are essentially trying to equate a consensual relationship between adults. While it might not be morally great, it is not illegal.
They're not trying to blame Hillary for Bill's affairs. They're trying to say she had a hand in threatening these women and intimidating these women and shaming these women who came forward to tell their story about their relationship with Bill.
And remember, Hillary Clinton is the woman who came up with the term vast right-wing conspiracy. She's saying that Donald Trump is a conspiracy theorist. She came up with that.
And again, it's all alleged, and it's used. I mean, you have to put yourself in her...
This is alleged too, though, Nomiki.
Right.
The comments that Miss Universe is making about him calling her Miss Piggy and Miss Housekeeping are alleged too. They haven't been proven. There's no third-party witness. However, having said that, there's a litany of other comments Trump made about her weight, that all of which are on camera. So
and he did take her to the gym.
Exactly.
He did, you know, he has tried to hurt her reputation. But with that being said, there is this long history of trying to shame Hillary Clinton for her husband's infidelity, which quite frankly is not working.
Isn't. That's not what's happening.
It is. There's
it's
a lot
about
of media
her
out there
role
saying
in it. That's not true. No one's saying, oh, poor Hillary, she got cheated on. They're saying, look at the testimonials that all these women came, and there are a lot of them. There's a lot of them. It's not like one or two.
There are dozens and dozens going back decades, and it's in fact Hillary Clinton's role involved in defaming these women that is relevant now.
Okay.
So if we're going to talk about defaming women, we need to be fair and be equal about it.
Okay, we're going to pick it up there, and you've teed up our next segment beautifully. Nice job.
Thanks.
Both of you. So breaking tonight, Donald Trump just launched a new attack on Bill and Hillary Clinton, telling the New York Times that, quote, Hillary Clinton is married to the single greatest abuser of women in the history of politics. Seems like he's going a different route than the one he said he was going to go. David Wohl and Richard Fowler are next on that. Breaking tonight, after days of dropping hints, Donald Trump just went there in an interview with the New York Times that just hit, warning Hillary Clinton that he is ready to get, quote, nasty, and going on to describe her husband as, quote, the single greatest abuser of women in the history of politics. It comes on the same day that a couple of intrepid reporters dug up details on just how far Hillary Clinton allegedly went in what they say was the effort to silence the women who got a little too close to her husband, Bill Clinton. Trace Gallagher has that report. Trace?
Megyn, using a mix of interviews, biographies, and personal profiles, the reporting attempts to paint a fairly stark image of Hillary Clinton's history of intimidation tactics aimed at keeping her husband's career on track. Example, in 1988, when a political enemy threatened to make public a list of Bill Clinton's girlfriends, Clinton biographer Gail Sheehy says Hillary hired two of her law partners at Arkansas's largest law firm to confront the women one by one. It apparently worked because the lengthy list of paramours ended up staying private. Others point out that when the other women couldn't be controlled, they would have to be discredited. The Washington Post notes that in 1992, the Clinton campaign hired private detective Jack Palladino to investigate the accusers involved in dozens of allegations against Bill Clinton. And according to Sheehy, it was Hillary's idea to hire Palladino, whose goal when it came to Jennifer Flowers was to, quote, impeach her character and veracity until she is destroyed beyond all recognition. In 1988, when Kathleen Willey spoke to reporters about Bill Clinton's unwanted advances in the Oval Office, two other Hillary biographers say it was the then First Lady who told the White House to release 9 fawning letters that Willey had sent the president after the alleged incident. Many reporters then dropped the story, concluding the letters disproved Willey's version. And when the controlling and discrediting failed, the public record is replete with accounts of Hillary Clinton attacking the character of the accusers. Think Lewinsky and Paula Jones. But the Clinton campaign has made it crystal clear an effort by Trump and Trump surrogates to dredge up ancient history will not throw Hillary Clinton off her game. Megyn.
This is getting dicey. Trace, thank you. Joining me now, David Wohl, a Trump supporter and attorney, and Richard Fowler, senior fellow at the New Leaders Council and a nationally syndicated radio host. You know, that lays it out very well, right? What the attack on Hillary would be. It's not you got cheated on. That's you don't attack a woman for you got cheated on repeatedly. It's you helped to smear, embarrass, and intimidate a long list of women who got involved in an extramarital affair with your husband, who was first a governor and then a president. But David, I ask you, as Trump, his initial instinct on Monday was not to go there, as he struggles to win female voters, and 5 days later, it appears to have done a 180. So which judgment was right?
Well, this is, Megyn, this so transcends gender that it's unbelievable. Bill and Hillary Clinton were literally thug nation. I mean, what they did as far as intimidating and coercing these women that made these allegations against Bill Clinton is literally not just unethical, but it's arguably criminal. She waged an all-out war on the women who stood in the way of not just Bill Clinton's ambition, but her own political ambition. And Megyn, it gives us some really good insight into the mindset of a woman who years and years later would engage in the activities she did as Secretary of State with the Clinton Foundation, the pay-to-play scandal, and the email scandal when she would destroy an illegal server. She would destroy the cell phones that contained classified and top-secret emails. This is a woman who never believes she'll be held accountable. And guess what? She hasn't to date, but my guess is the voters on September 8th will take all this into consideration and hold her accountable. They have to. This is unbelievable.
David supports the Trump of tonight, who appears to be ready to go there. And he's been getting battered for 5 days over his treatment of women, but he brought it on. I mean, like as Charles Krauthammer said, she laid out the cheese and he just ate it on up until there was no cheese left. Richard?
It's indeed a self-fulfilling prophecy by the Trump campaign. While I love David, I gotta invoke monopoly here. Don't pass go. Don't collect $200. They're trying to make this connection between Hillary Clinton being a woman who was cheated on both in the governor's mansion and the White House to Hillary Clinton, the candidate for president. And that's the wrong assumption to make, because what that does say is that Donald Trump's sexual past and Donald Trump's marital past is on the table when he had his wife Ivana and he was cheating on her publicly with another woman. And in Ivana's divorce testimony, she indicates that she was raped by Donald Trump. So once you go down, but it's in court testimony, which is under oath.
But she recanted it, and he denied it.
But it is under oath.
Megyn, but to compare, Rich, and I love you too, Rich, but to compare an affair to allegations of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and sexual harassment isn't even in the same universe. What these women complained about Bill Clinton doing to them, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, 10 of them, was criminal in nature. Criminal.
No.
Not just
a sexual
assault. Go ahead, Richard.
A sexual assault or harassment, which she did recant, that might be fair. That's criminal in nature as well. This is the problem. For Donald Trump to win this election, Megyn, he needs to convince educated white women to go out and vote for him. When you make these type of statements and you attack an educated white women are like, wait a minute, why would I vote for somebody that's attacking another educated white woman?
Yeah, but the thing is, Richard, what he's trying to do now through his surrogates and now tonight is fill out the picture, which is, I've said some things, they weren't great things, but she's done some things too. There's more to this story. And the women of America will be left thinking, we're so lucky. We're so
an educated white woman who was out to destroy 5, 6, 7 other educated white women because they made allegations against her husband that made her life very difficult. They made her political ambitions very difficult.
I'll note this before we go. When she was going through these, scandals, when she was being cheated on, Lewinsky and so on, her approval rating shot up. It was 67%. The American public had great empathy for her, but they weren't talking about this other. It was just Hillary Clinton, the victim, who's been cheated on. It wasn't this other stuff. So we'll see where this race goes in the next 5 weeks, folks. Great to see you both.
Good to see you too, Megyn.
Remember Superstorm Sandy and how it played out in the fall of 2012? Meet Matthew, the Category 4 hurricane now headed for the East Coast. We'll update you on this guy. Joining me now, Mark McKinnon, co-creator and co-host of The Circus. That was fun, Mark.
There was more drama in the control room than there was on the debate stage. You guys really operate without a net, and thank you for letting us do that. Part of the ambition of The Circus is to show viewers and voters what it's like to be behind the scenes of a campaign. And I've seen that and we showed from the campaign side, but we've never been able to show it from the news side. And that was fascinating for me because it's tense, and I know what it's like being tense on the debate side, being with a candidate, but I've never been in the control room of the tea room. Man, that's hot stuff.
You've seen more than I've seen because we're like Superman and Clark Kent. We're never in the same room at the same time. The control room team and me. But that's Scott Rosenthal, our director, who keeps the madness under control in there. And you can see the viewers never get to see the problems because we try to hide them from you. Oh, it's me and me. But that night we didn't have Brian Fallon. He was supposed to be our lead guest. We didn't have Kellyanne Conway. She was supposed to be our second lead guest. Nobody was showing up. We were going on the air in front of
live TV, right?
5 million people. We had no guests at all. So you have to be able to roll with it. And one of the fun things about TV is you're getting an eyewitness view of what's happening in the control room where things are melting down. Like, where's Fallon? And I'm out on the set. All I ever hear is, Brian Fallon will be here in 2 minutes.
Be right there.
Right? Brian's
They're
up
trying
next.
to keep you calm, right?
And my only hint that something's wrong is in the background you'll be like, get him! You're like, oh, whoa.
Well, they did a great job. And
any surprises, when you saw the whole thing go down?
The whole thing was a surprise. I had no idea the control room was that chaotic and that dramatic. It was fascinating for me to see that, and I think it will be for viewers, too.
Yeah, I think so, too. And you'll get sort of a flavor for how we put the show together and the choices that we make and why we make them. And then there'll be some other shows featured too that you don't need to worry about. You can tune it away.
Well, the thing that we're doing the whole week, we have kind of a theme every week, and the theme this week is the newsrooms, and we wanted to show what it's like to see the campaign through the lens of news programs like yours.
Well, you guys were pros, all of you. So
Thanks.
Thank you for doing such a beautiful job. It was a pleasure having you. Kicked it. Marcos at the end of it he goes, Megan, can I get a kick it? So I was like, kick it? Kick it? Only Mark could pull that off. Coming up, meet Matthew, the newest contender in the 2016 race, and you're not going to like him. He's next. Remember Superstorm Sandy and how it played out in the 2012 election? Meet Matthew, the hurricane, now pointed at the East Coast. Meteorologist Rick Reichmuth is live in the Fox Weather Center. Rick?
Hey, okay, so Superstorm Sandy was about a week, 8 days or so before the election. We're a little bit a ways from that. I don't think we're going to be talking about a big game changer as far as the elections go, but this is a really strong storm right now in across the Caribbean, down towards Colombia and Venezuela. But we are going to be dealing with impacts from this, I believe, across parts of the U.S., maybe by around 5 to 7 days from now. All of our model guidance pulls us off towards the north. Cuba, Jamaica getting an impact from this. But what we're going to watch is maybe by Wednesday, about 5 days, watching some sort of impacts here across parts of the Bahamas, maybe in towards areas of Florida. And these are our two most reliable models here, Megan, having some sort of interaction with the eastern seaboard there Wednesday through Friday, Saturday of next week. So we do have a storm on our hands we're going to watch.
We will. Rick, thank you.
You bet.
We'll be right back. What do you think? Should Trump go there on the Hillary Clinton bill situation? Go to Facebook.com/The Kelly File, on Twitter @Megyn Kelly. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. I'm Megyn Kelly, and this is The Kelly File.